crack down on this problem?
The opposition.
Lots of meetings, lots of photo ops, lots of spending, lots of car theft. After 8 years, this Prime Minister is not worth the car theft crime, which is up 300% in Toronto and 100% in Montreal. This is a federal problem. It's his mismanagement of federal ports that allows our cars to be stolen and sent abroad. His quick release of criminals on catch and release who steal our cars is a federal matter, and his mismanagement of our federal police force, which is responsible for organized crime. Will he reverse his failures so we can stop the car theft?
The Honourable Minister for Public Security.
Again, Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition forgets one important thing that this government did in collaboration with the provinces from coast to coast. We strengthened bail conditions to ensure that precisely the circumstance that my honourable friend continues to repeat inaccurately is not the case. And I was very pleased that Premier Ford thanked our government at the event yesterday for working with them constructively to put these auto thieves behind bars and do everything we can to bring an end to this unacceptable practice.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Here are the facts. They brought in catch and release bail. They reversed part of it. But guess where catch and release remains in place even after their most recent bill? Car theft. Whoa. So car thieves can still get catch and release same day bail because of this Prime Minister's amendment to the federal criminal code. Ports are federal, he mismanaged them. The RCMP is federal, he mismanaged that. The criminal code is federal, he brought in catch and release. Won't he own up to his failures, reverse these decisions so we can keep our cars?
The Honourable Minister for Justice and Attorney General for Canada.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday when the Minister of Public Safety and I were with the Premier of Ontario, what we announced was $121 million of funding to help with attacking crime in places like Ontario. What that will do will help to stop this flow of what we're seeing in terms of auto theft. The other thing we heard from the Premier and what we've heard from the law enforcement officials who were there is that if you want to tackle this, you got to tackle organized crime. Interestingly, the Leader of the Opposition is directing his caucus to vote against anti-money laundering initiatives that are contained in the fall economic statement that would address exactly that.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has accomplished something that only he could do. Our central bank, which can create cash, is actually losing money. Now, how did this happen? He forced the central bank to create $600 billion of cash to fund his overspending over the last 3 years. To pay for it, the bank makes deposits into the accounts of large financial institutions. Interest rates on those deposits, of course, have gone through the roof, meaning that taxpayers are now forced to bail out those losses. Will he admit that his incompetence now forces Canadians to pay twice, once for the inflation the money printing caused, and twice to bail out the bank, which is failing?
The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure if the Leader of the Opposition is aware, but Canada has the lowest debt-to-GDP ratio and the lowest deficit in the G7. And what we do on this side of the House is maintain prudent fiscal responsibility while investing in Canadians, especially vulnerable Canadians. Let's look at the Canada Child Benefit. Let's look at $10 a day childcare. Let's look at the Canada Dental Benefit, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we actually have compassion for Canada.
I'd like to encourage members to please keep your comments to yourselves until it is your turn to speak. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. The CMHC report confirms that the housing crisis is worse than ever. There have never been so few available housing units in 20 years. Rents have risen by 8%, and finding a new home in Quebec is 17% more expensive. Why? Because the population is growing too fast.